Oh,
And there's a third one that's in the one.
okay, maybe that's the one that's okay.
Well, welcome. So I think what we'll do is obviously you guys are on a time constraint. We'll hold off to see if Scott shows up, but let's go through the IT contract and the phone system contracts. So just more information on that. If do you want to bring that up?
Well,
Carry on.
basically,
So okay, the IT contract, I understand, we're looking to get rid of Twin Bridges and move to Sunapee Lakes Region Computer.
basically what's been going on is as when I started, there was about an 8-month-old work list that hadn't been getting done, and a lot of the computers had failed, and we were
Yep.
also having some issues with the internet. We did get the new internet installed. It was at the end of March when they were active. And we tried to get switched over to it, and it took 2 months to get switched over. And we thought it was because the state was holding us up, but when we found the emails, it turned out it was our IT guy, and we paid an extra $6,000 because we paid double. We were paying for 2 services for 2 months. So that, along with some questionable behavior towards some of our staff, most notably Carrie Ann, and many different items that, and we could go here and spend a couple of hours talking about it, but what we did is we started looking for options. He told us he wasn't available to do some of the wiring, so we found a wiring contractor. And that got him upset, and he came in and tried to do some of the wiring to head that off and said, I don't know why you're getting other prices. And it was like, because we hadn't had anything done, we got prices. And then we said, well, we need to have a backup plan because this doesn't seem to be going well. And we wanted to make sure we had coverage for all of our IT. And looking at some of the different areas, and we've got some quotes. I had met with Primex, our insurer. Primex had given us a couple of names, and they asked, who do we use? Because they were going to get an IT audit from them. And they were saying that, they had some companies they work with, and who do we use? We told them who we use. They said, well, they don't put in all the proper protocol for protecting the computers and protecting the system. So while we were getting that quote, and then looking at what we've been paying our current contractor, while our contract cost is slightly higher, we are paying on an individual basis. We've paid $14,000, or are billed $14,000 for items that would be included in the other contracts, and the new company would technically be cheaper over time. So we're making a recommendation that we move our IT program to Lakes Region for managing it, and we are able to pay monthly. We have to give a 60-day notice to our existing contractor. And we have $14,000 worth of invoices, of which 10,000 of that would be what we would be owed for the last 4 months of the year.
Yep.
So we would be able to do that as a deduct and make sure that we're holders of that.
Okay.
So
That was my.
we wanted to make sure that we.
Because we paid for him up ahead, right?
Yeah, it was a payment upfront.
Yeah.
For $32,000 in January, and we will technically get 10,000 of it back. So in the end, we'll
If
end
he
up.
does the right thing, we should get it all back.
Yeah.
Well, not all back, but the 14. So,
Well,
What he
the
has-
14, but the issue is if you take the
right.
32,000 and divide it by 12 months and then multiply it by 4, that number is what we're gonna keep. So we're gonna get everything back that we're due from the time the contract is terminated.
Okay. All right. So you need to vote from us to make the change?
We wanna open the meeting.
Oh, sure. Meeting is now officially open. So. You want to make a motion on that, Scott, or do you wait, or you want to?
I will,
get rid of.
I'll make motion that we change IT companies.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Carrie Ann, for doing the legwork and taking the abuse. So,
And the voice over IP system is something that was planned for this year. And it will net savings to the town because we will be eliminating a lot of direct numbers that we pay base costs for. Now we'll only have I mean, is it like is it 8 or 10 numbers, I think?
Yeah, we have the 10 published phone numbers on the website that we'll keep, but we have upwards of 30 phone numbers to power the system. So main savings is canceling all the extra numbers to go to a true cohesive ID.
And this was, Lakes Region also was the lowest bidder on this. They're about $400 a month less than the next lowest bidder. And it's primarily because they do so much volume with these companies. They're giving us the phones actually for free. We're just paying for the service.
Well, we're paying for the install too. so-
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm saying, like,
Yeah,
once we
no,
get
I
going,
get it, yeah.
it's that whole.
Yep.
At the end of the day, so I would recommend that we move to the new voice over IP system.
agree. Make a motion. Or I'll make a motion. That we move to the VoIP.
No, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So we've got some minutes to approve from June, before we go back to the agenda. June 4th, public and non-public. I'll give you a chance to read that, and then last night's non-public.
Move to accept the agreement.
So, I just had on number 2, Roger, the discussion about,
It's not spelling.
no, it's not a spelling error. The timing of payment, I thought that was a separate subject, so just the stuff you have not bolded in number 2. Just make it it came up and maybe it was there, we just made the decision not to pay out for the non-town warrants at the end of the year. So, okay, other than that, I'm fine. So you made a motion, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And for the June 4th, non-public. Motion to accept that.
Motion to accept as written.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And last night's June 17th meeting, motion to accept. As written. All in favor?
Aye.
Second, all in favor? This is hard with 2 people.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Meeting House grant, the 2 grants you're going for, the L-chip and the Moose. I personally am okay with it. Appreciate you guys going out and looking for money, and I know there's a time constraint, so of getting it done. So,
There's actually a third grant at the end of the month. We'll submit to T-Mobile, but no
Okay.
match required on that.
okay,
And that would be for an ADA parking, a parking spot on the back,
okay,
conform to code. And redo some of the flooring inside,
okay.
the long shot.
Maybe
You'll never get it if you don't apply.
So we have a motion to accept those, Scott,
Yes.
and I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We need just one signed copy, John?
You need, was it 2 different? memos?
Yeah, there's 2 different.
One of
Two
them-
one, but you only need one
Yeah, I
copy
only
of
need
each.
one, yeah.
Thank you. What was that?
Yeah, I said you probably would only take about 8 minutes for the meeting house. He goes, I hope it's 4.
Harriet, you're up with a finance report, please.
I'll start with our revenue for the June 20th.
Yep.
As of running the report last night, the general fund revenue is at 40% collected against what we reported to the DRA. We're waiting to finish the tax collection cycle that's due on July 1st. Before making all the transfers to the outside fund with the transfer station revolving fund and EMS revolving funds. Because those are revenue streams that show up in those outside funds. So once the general fund transfers money to those, they'll have their revenue coming in for the year.
Yep.
And then Q1 water sewer bills should be mailed out shortly. So the delay in collecting Q1 is affecting the water and sewer revenue.
Two, right?
Q1.
I was wondering why that number was so low, so. Okay, I thought we were just waiting on.
No, there was some issues with a couple of properties where there was a leak that had caused some issues and there was some calculation,
Q1 and Q2 are gonna come out back to back.
pretty much.
That should make some people happy.
Oh, yeah,
Me included.
hopefully we'll have the new phone system in place, we can take.
You have a
I'm
recording.
gonna have my own number, I take it. Great,
For expenditures, as of running payroll and AP this week, we have an excess in the wage line from being very short staffed. Totaling $298,000. But then the South Road paving, there was an overage of $109,000. The total bill came to $509,000.
Yep.
So 400.
when will you take the 100,000 out of the warrant article and move it over? You didn't subtract the extra 100,000 for paving, you have it as a negative in the main budget, in the highway.
I put the warrant article in as the warrant article passed, so when we do the 2025 budget, then the paving line and the operating budget will come up to 400,000.
Okay. But in the month, the 100,000 is still sitting there untouched as a warrant for,
Yeah, we haven't paid the paving bill
Okay.
yet.
oh,
So
okay,
it
all right,
always comes in and we pay it.
perfect.
We had talked to them about to July 1st, like they finished the work and sometime in the next week or so, we'll get the bill.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And then what I'll get into after this is what's going on with the EMS straight time hours. So there's probably gonna be $100,000 that was not budgeted for straight time and EMS, and that'll be covered by the unspent general fund wages.
Yep,
And then on the King project, there was bill plates that were found to be rotted and some rotted siding getting replaced, so that'll also come out of
is
the.
that, yeah, I saw the 50,000, is that just an estimate or is that a hard?
Plate.
That's an estimate right now, we haven't finalized anything.
It's a pretty big bump, I mean, I know it needs to be done since we're in there, but.
Yeah, I mean, well, the wall going into the backside of the town hall, the roof had rotted on that edge.
Yep.
And what it did is then it got into the entire wall.
So walk
Window.
inside.
Yeah, it is a concrete wall in the front, but it's got furring on the outside and then all the siding and the window, all of that has to come out.
Yep.
And be redone and all that. And then there's the issue. At the front. What would that be? East corner, where the sill for about 5 or 6 feet wide in 2 directions has rotted completely. So they're gonna have to jack it in the basement and fix that as well. And that's what we have as of today.
Sounds like the meeting house. Okay,
So that is the one item that we don't know.
any other surprises in there that
We haven't found any others, the rest of them, like they're gonna be replacing the post in one area, but that was planned.
Yeah.
They have some planned things they knew they were gonna have to do.
Right.
These were 2 fines.
Surprise.
go ahead, Henry, I'm sorry.
And then the next slide, I was just explaining that outlier account, legal is gonna be an issue through the whole rest of the year because we had $53,800 budgeted for the whole year as of the end of May. We spent 42,000, so we'll definitely overspend the legal line.
So I just had a couple of questions about that. I mean, I know we have usage on. Is it just because you're just starting out and, or is it, I mean, is there?
The issue right now.
Should we
is-
expect to be at 53 or at,
Well, one of the items is, and I don't know, I mean, I assume we took care of it, but we don't separate the stuff for like the water system, the whole special town meeting is one item.
okay,
There was a significant amount of attorney use when we did the warrant articles.
Yeah.
And then we've had these deed issues that we've been dealing with, so
Right.
we've also, those are the three items that
Okay.
are actually driving it. And you know, like this one we're talking about and a couple of others will
Yeah.
end up getting a little bit of help, but hopefully this will be an anomaly half a year.
well,
But we
and
don't
if
have
it
as
is,
much.
hopefully we're getting to the bottom of it, so, yeah, okay.
Hopefully the surprises will be fewer and farther between.
I keep saying, every time I turn around, I say
We'll
that.
Find another one. And I'll bring one up in a little bit.
And then.
Well, wait till.
We just lost the forum.
Hey, I want to throw up. Was it something they said?
the-
Okay,
The budget line in the EMS fund that we code the station coverage and the hourly rates when they're called out on runs. That line has not been budgeted correctly. Currently the account is negative $17,000 and we still have 28 weeks remaining this year. The call volume this year has increased over last year. 911 calls are at 255 calls this year compared to 242 the same time last year. And then transfers, they've done 120 this year compared to 90 transfers at the same time last year. So they are getting more calls. We're therefore paying more hourly
Yep.
wages. At the current rate that we're spending in the wage account, the account will be negative 99,000 by year end. The one thing we learned was back in 2023, we had requested $100,000 from the general fund to EMS. We had requested that to be increased. It was denied, then setting the 2024 budget, it was overseen, we didn't remember to ask for it.
Yep.
So now this year, we're gonna be short about the amount that they were asking for a couple years ago.
And the overage was about the same thing those 2 years.
Yeah.
About 90 to $100,000.
well, I mean, this whole process of the EMS has been an experiment of, you know, when we started taking on the transfers, we knew that's where the money was to be made and to offset some of these expenses, so.
Well, and the
What
hope
we knew was that, you know, an estimate both ways all the way.
The hope is that between collections and going to the agency, we might be able to.
Yep.
Close that gap quite a bit before the end of the year. And therefore, but plan correctly for next year, because we won't have that pump.
Yep.
You know, again, and yeah, we want to make sure that we work on our budget based on actuals, not budget to
No,
budget.
no, projected.
Yeah,
And we
But-
had gone through trying to figure out what was going on and kind of the concrete data. I had looked through the timesheets back to January 2022. And the rate significantly increased the average number of hours worked every week. There used to be an average of 100 hours a week back in January. And then that increased to 292 hours a week, June 2024 for the call hours where they're paying $6 an hour. Sorry, that was for the straight time. And then the call hours that are $6 an hour have decreased over that time. So the flat rate where they're getting $23 or $29 for a paramedic, that's increasing, and then the lower rate decreasing. But
Okay.
overall, our work hours are increasing anyway.
Has there been anything coming in from the transfer work yet that where it's been increased or?
Yeah, the revenue's coming in.
Because supposedly they're being more selective on transfer work depending on the insurance company that's going to be paid.
Yeah, I believe it's, I know Medicare, it's $300 no matter how far you go versus, if we take the ones that have the regular insurance or are a specialty item, those are actually paying reasonably quickly.
And then I had put together a graph so you can see the trends over the last 2.5 years. And they are getting more calls, so we're working more average hours every week. Everything's just been generally increasing, so they're also bringing in revenue. And we'll just budget better going forward for the next year.
Any concern over police, the wages in the police lines, salaries on call, OT are all
They're
under,
tight.
they're very tight.
Yeah, but also their union contract got posted as a warrant article, so that $3,800 is down in the warrant article line. And it'll help offset the police.
Okay. I mean, is it worth talking to, we should probably talk to Ryan at some point, just make sure he's on top of it, especially the OT, that's controllable, so. And then,
Is that where it comes into where some of that stuff was being charged to the other fund before?
Yeah, the police department took the majority of the hit for allocating out the phone and internet. That was just being coded to one place. And also the police department got all new cell phones for the officers, which they should have
Yeah.
to do their job. And that is $42 a month per cell phone.
And
So
that came as a result of the issue at Dartmouth and all of their personal cell phones being available to the public.
got it.
Yeah.
Great.
Right now,
Can I get a town cell phone?
any department that had a cell phone, it's gonna show negative in their line because we coded all this stuff just to a general cell phone and internet line. in
Okay.
previous years.
And then is there any advantage with the VoIP with the cell phone? Is there any interaction there? Can you like?
Yes.
Yes, they'll be able to download an app, any of us can even
Yep.
your personal cell phone, and then when you call out through the app, it shows the number as the town number rather than your cell phone number.
And in addition to that, like if we set it up and depending on how you guys want to do it, when we set up a phone extension that would be for the select board.
Yep.
It can send you texts. And you could actually get a text and there's a call coming in to, I know you're so excited. I'm just saying, we can
That's
provide
great.
that.
That's great, Chad.
Yeah.
The info, I like.
That's okay. I just thought, you'd like to know.
You can choose to pay extra to have the voicemails converted to an email. So
Oh.
instead of listening to the
Oh,
voicemail.
that doesn't bother.
Well, the voicemail becomes less important when anybody when they have their office desk number, they can forward that desk to their cell phone.
Yeah.
So there should be much more of the time we should be actually answering the calls, even if they were to the desk phones.
Couple other questions for the two of you, actually, and then Roger, I'll put you on the spot. You're being overpaid this year so far. If you went up, you're gonna be about a 40% up, I think, is at the end of the year. Not, it's small money, I know, but it's just curious as have we been using you more, or has it been because you've been coming to the meetings and not doing them Zoom? I mean, what's,
Yeah, you never did non-publics before. You never did documents for non-public
okay,
for all the years I was here.
all right,
So those are $25 each.
Okay.
And
All right.
the regular, non-public is $175. So pretty small amount, but
Okay.
twice a month.
got it. Okay.
Talk to my people.
I just did evidently, so. And then contract appraiser, that's Todd,
Yes.
because he's up quite a bit too this year. I don't know if it's just offset because it's the beginning of the year and we.
It
use
should
a
be
lot right now.
significantly more usage, and that's the one thing that we've talked about is trying to look at last year's at the same point.
Yeah.
So we can see what things are front loaded, which things are back loaded,
Right.
because it gives you a little more information and we gotta figure out how to get you some of that information, but they definitely,
I mean, I know he's
like,
here,
I
but
spent way more time in April and May than he's going to most of the rest of the
Right.
year.
Yeah.
So,
I know he has to get it all in by now, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, did you have any questions?
Nope, I'm good on,
Anybody else? have any
you
questions?
covered everything.
Great, thanks, Carrie Ann, thanks, Joe. Appreciate this, the way you're doing it. Not sure I want to hear the FEMA update, but I already know it, but let's have it.
well, basically, we got called, this is, event 4457, it was the July of 2019. There was 10 projects that were associated with that FEMA event. Believe it's 7 of them have been completed. We got paid about $175,000. There were 3 outstanding projects.
Yep.
One was the Orange Brook debris removal. One was preventative maintenance, flood control at the transfer station bridge. And then the embankment that had to be reconstructed. All 3 were supposed to be getting a DM that denies them. And we had the opportunity to appeal. Item number 1. We didn't have enough preliminary data. And we didn't have, we did not call in EHP, which is the Environmental Historic and Preservation Group,
Okay,
to get it looked at before. And that's like an automatic no-no. So we did do, and the question was, and when we were looking, when did the work take place versus when did the event happen? And everything was like 3 or 4 weeks later, which means we had the time to
Yeah.
call somebody in. So that one, I don't believe we're gonna have any ability to appeal. The second one, it's only for, and that first one was for $64,000.
Yep.
Revenue. The other one was the preventive flood control, and that was work at the bridge. And that was the same thing. They couldn't tie it to the event. We didn't have any pre-pictures. We didn't have, basically the lesson from all this is we actually need to go around and take pictures of all of our major structures.
That preventative work, was that the berm built on the fairgrounds
that's,
side? or-
that's the
Yes.
third one.
No, and the other one is the embankment, which
Yeah.
is the stone line embankment, and that was $75,000. The reason, we still have to deal with. Get EHP to look at the compliance part of it, but the primary reason for both the second one and the third one was. If there's another group that could potentially pay for it, FEMA won't pay for it, and we did not consult NRCS. So New Hampshire Homeland Security, we have not been issued the DMs yet. New Hampshire Homeland Security is contacting NRCS for us, and we're gonna have them come out and look at it. And if they said it's possible they could still fund it, and if not, it may bring that one back to life on FEMA side, and we would just have to do some other legwork. So that one's for $75,000. That one, I'm holding out hope that we might have some recourse. to
How
get
much
some
was the
stuff.
bridge one?
The bridge one was 9,500. So far, 73,000 plus or minus.
150.
73,000 is basically, I don't think we have any chance. The 75,000
There's a chance.
has a chance, but we'll see.
Did we put those numbers in our revenue budget back at the beginning of the year?
No.
Okay.
This would be money that would actually, because
It would
we
be-
spent it out of those years' budgets, it would be actually just replenishing the fund balance, because that's what we basically spent it out of.
Okay,
So
all right. I
that's
just
the.
want to make sure we weren't gonna get double hit on that.
No.
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right.
So we were hoping to get a nice fund balance boost from this though.
Yeah,
Because there also is the one that just happened this past July, and we have 75,000. That we are qualified to get. And we aren't getting any pushback. We've actually answered all their questions, and we're at the place where they're doing the review with the other groups.
yeah,
And once they come back and they'll tell us, that we're golden or we're not, and we'll figure it out from there. But that one, I think we can argue. It's hard to go back and argue some of the ones that are 5 years old.
yeah.
Yeah,
Understood.
because some of that had questioned on at the start, was told to, it's taken care of, so.
Right. So yeah, that is where that stands at this time.
Okay. Goose Pond update?
Goose Pond, the only reason that is on the agenda was, we've had a bunch of phone calls of people wanting to know, like, you know, where is the schedule? Right now, the schedule. You know, I've asked for an updated, like, construction schedule, but I haven't received that yet.
Yep.
But the way it was scheduled was this year, they were gonna be doing all the peripheral work and still drawing down the lake. It started last October, and then the construction of the actual dam is to take place summer of 25. So we'll be out most of next summer as well, so. Yeah, that's what the email had said, so I'm waiting to hear if they've updated any of that.
Because that was not the original plan.
Well, that's the email I found, that's
Yeah.
not one, and I asked for an updated construction schedule, they're working below the dam right now,
Yeah.
getting all their check dams and things in place.
Right.
But they haven't started anything on the actual dam. At this time,
Okay.
so that's, and I can't imagine if we're getting into the August timeframe that they're gonna start that then. I'd be surprised, how's that, but then, you know. Maybe
Yeah, no,
maybe
but
we
the
turn around
the
faster.
The original plan was by next spring, they would start
Yeah.
refilling the dam,
And-
so.
And if they can, maybe they're gonna work on it over the winter, that,
Yeah.
it said 25, I don't know if that's beginning or end, that's why I asked for the update, when I
Right.
get it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
And yeah, cause it would actually be easier for them to work in the winter and get that done.
The roads are playable a bit better.
Yeah.
At least that's a big enough project that they've got a bigger outfit
Yeah, they're out of New York.
out in Jersey, I think. Michael's. But they're in the area, they're doing utility work in the area too, so. South of here.
Okay. Anything else on your list?
On my stuff, I just wanted another one of those make your day stuff. I guess in 2019, the town had done an advertisement to sell a portion of the land that the old gravel pit is on, the one next to the transfer station.
Yes.
And there was an auction, winner. A deposit was made, then the deposit was returned. There's various scenarios as to how that was supposed to happen. But then it brought up a new interesting question, because I did ask our attorney, like, you know, are we obligated at all to the original successful bidder? And it's like a 3-year time limit, so no, we're outside of that. But the other part of this that I want to get authorization from the select board just to start investigating is my understanding, we never closed that gravel pit. Like officially closed it at the state and done any of the remediation work we'd have to do. So I wanted to talk to Horizons and say, okay, so what is the status of this license and what will we have to do to get it officially closed? And then we can decide what to do with it.
And what was the part where we were actually digging, or was it?
The part where we're digging, we have to close it.
Okay,
Cause it's still technically an open, because what they were gonna do is they were gonna my understanding is they were gonna subdivide 37 acres of that land off. Which would not have been part of the pit, but what I don't know, and it may be a Sean question, other legal fee.
yeah,
Is when we talk to the state. Would we be allowed to subdivide that off, or is that whole thing part of the pit and we can't subdivide it until we close it? These are the things we have to ask.
okay,
And we're not gonna spend a bunch of money, but we gotta do some investigation.
First,
In the case of pits, the planning board controls the
Right.
permitting and the
and
overseeing of the closing. So if the state's not involved already, I don't think you have to involve the state.
Well, no, I was just gonna ask, I just wanted to know, I wanted to look, I haven't even found the permit yet.
So I believe it's local.
Okay.
You're in New Hampshire now, you're not in Vermont
I
anymore.
understand, and this is what I gotta find out. All I'm saying is we wanna make sure we do this the correct way.
I know-
Let's go to the planning. board.
Yeah, okay.
I know
That's
in
the
New
case, that'd be
Hampshire, DES, who covers the closure, delegates to the planning board to oversee that.
great.
Unless there is an appeal process and then DES becomes, so it's up to the planning board unless it's appealed, which the town shouldn't be.
So do you guys get involved with there's the legal part of the closure, but then remediation, like we gotta slope things off and seed them.
Yeah, you just gotta put in a 45-degree slope.
Right.
And put something in there that grows.
Okay.
Suggestion.
And
But like-
they'd be involved with the subdivision too. if we wanna
Right,
split
so I
it
mean,
up.
that's what we wanna start this process and see where we are, go find what we have on it. And then we'll figure out how we're gonna deal with it.
Suggestion at this point, keep in mind, they have started pulling ditches. A lot of this material coming out of these ditches will grow vegetation.
Yes,
So a lot of this
That's what it
material,
actually does best.
that?
That's what it actually does
it's
best.
got
Instead
a
of being,
lot of silt.
Yes. Yeah, it's got a lot of silt. They just pulled the ditches on Ballpark Road. I don't know which pit. They were hauling them to. The pit is what they told me.
Okay,
I don't know which one, but that's something that I did in Enfield is all the bulk of anything coming out of the pit. A lot of that coming out of ditches, I took back, piled, screened and used for topsoil. But if we have to slope that and close it, we've got that chance right now that we've got all this material. If they're going to be able to pull a lot of this ditching material to go up there and utilize it for cover.
okay.
and because
the
that's
only-
already been approved to be sold, we can sell it, we can go back to.
Yeah, actually, the
don't have-
voters have already approved
Yeah,
selling
okay.
it, so we're good there.
Alright.
The only potential fly in the ointment is, I know that, and I don't know, there's a hydraulic connection between the treatment plant and that, and according to John, that's one of the reasons it keeps drying out there, so gotta just make sure that all those.
That was the other thing that I was gonna, because I don't know what was done for the original sale. There is boundaries associated with that treatment plant.
Yeah.
That have to be kept. Because that road where the transfer station is, they actually had to get an abatement from DES to move their boundary because they built that road for the transfer inside of that buffer zone.
Right, and the person that had won the bid at that time is still interested and would pay the 37,000 or whatever it was for the 37 acres, because it's not supposed to be usable.
But
Well,
the value's
how-
probably gone up, so.
I haven't been in there. Have they built any wetlands in there? Sometimes when they
There-
excavate, they create wetlands.
And my understanding is there's areas in that vicinity that are maybe
Damn.
borderline at this point.
Damn, John, damn.
Right, well,
Damn.
We just
Poorly,
leave,
there's some poorly drained places.
yeah, we just leave those, don't fill those.
Yeah, no, and so this is what we wanna just
Okay.
make sure, we're gonna start, like, this happened 3 days ago, so it's like a
Yeah.
whole new experience that we're gonna
Okay,
deal with.
But what I can tell you is we need to check on what that protection area.
Yeah.
Boundaries are.
Just so, and Bob Henry, our new highway supervisor, he's starting a week earlier than planned,
Great.
his plans changed, so he's starting next Monday.
You just can't wait to get here, Ken.
Another item that has come up and something I'm gonna have to research on how we're doing it, because we got a bunch of different trusts on, is some of the cemetery conditions. Especially the one that was brought to my attention was the one on South Road. That, you know, some of the stones are all leaning and there's like almost no topsoil left. And there's some ruts and stuff where drainage.
There's
happened.
probably 8 or 10 stones that have been laying on the ground now for 10 years.
Right, so these are things that we're getting calls from the people whose relatives are there, and we wanna start to look at
So-
how we're gonna address these
and
things.
we should have that conversation with Cindy because that's
Yeah.
been a topic with that
Yeah.
group, because one of the cemeteries is very well funded, overfunded.
Right.
And the others are not, so we were looking to try to go through the state and
Right.
combine the trust, so we could
Right.
actually use some of that money.
Yeah, so these are just things that, yeah, we wanna just start looking at and bring into your attention. And we are doing road evaluations, starting to look at how we're gonna prioritize, and we're using as a base model, the planning, some members of the planning commission had done, how many years ago, 3-4 years ago? They did a whole road analysis, and we're including that in the process. The CIP and budget committees have both met for their organizational meetings. CIP starts second half of July with their first meeting. And the first meeting for the budget committee will be the first Thursday. In September. That meeting will not actually be doing budget work. We're gonna be doing some analysis of process changes that we're looking at, and looking at how we're going to, what we're doing to put this forward. Jamie from the DRA is gonna come and speak to that. I believe the auditor is probably gonna come to the second meeting. Did you get a response from him yet? No, okay. Well, we're trying to get him to the second meeting. He's not available the first one, just to get some background and make sure we're all on the same page with a philosophy so that we can then move forward with the actual budgets. And
On the CIP, we got a problem with buildings. The CIPs in past issues have had buildings in there, but they've never been funded properly.
Right.
And we ought to get to the point where we've got building maintenance in those CIP plans.
Mhm.
Well, it's not in a
Capital-
rush to,
improvements, right? Not, we don't wanna call them building maintenance.
okay,
Capital.
capital, good.
Because we actually want to get building maintenance in the actual general fund maintenance in the
Right.
budget to actually have.
When you gonna put a roof on a building, that
Yeah.
kind of thing belongs
Right.
in the CIP.
Right.
And
We're going to have a preliminary list this summer to start going through. One of the things that a standard is typically. You should be funding about 3 to 3.5% of replacement value. So if we look at Primex's replacement values of all the buildings, that's a starting point that would start the discussion. So things like that, we want to start to have. Start the
Yes.
development, start looking at some of the direct projects. And the last item I had was one that came at the last minute, was the New Hampshire Co-op for those 2 poles.
Yep.
That they want to install on Jerusalem Road.
We can finish looking at that.
They're on your desk there in the room. So there's 2 poles that they are asking permission to install.
Get underground, and it looks like it's somebody's building up on Gilby Lane, that's what it is.
Probably. Those, and that should be, do they have those staked yet? Where they want to put them?
I would imagine they do, and this came in like Friday late, I didn't see it until yesterday morning, so we can hold off on this till the next meeting.
Can actually go
If you'd
out
like,
and look.
and then we go out. and
Oh,
take a look.
that's the thing, I always went out and took a look, and if there's any issue, I always just pull the stake and put it where it needs. They have to be within the town's right of way.
Yes.
But the problem we've got is on some of these pole replacements, they're setting them in front of the existing pole, which is reducing
Right, the setback to it.
the setback on
So,
it.
yeah, just wanted to bring this to your attention tonight,
Yeah.
because like I said, it came like late Friday. So,
And we had a problem with poles over in, can't remember the name of the road, but somewhere over in the southeast of town. The 50-foot right of way, they put the new poles right at the 25-foot mark, so it's right down the middle of the right of way.
And this is what I'm saying, that, I had one in Enfield.
Poles on Ballpark Road too, that way.
We've got 2 on Ballpark Road that come time for them to be changed are going to have to be reset. They'll balk at resetting the one at the farther end of Fishing Game because that's currently drilled into the ledge. But if that does not get set back, the road can never change. And, but yeah, routine, I always went out and checked, and if the stakes weren't
So you're
where they
volunteering.
needed to be, I moved them
You're
where.
volunteering.
No, I can do that, yeah.
Great.
I would just set them because the engine, as soon as you say, okay, the engineers don't go back. The whole crew goes out and sets them where the stakes are. So, because if you talk to the engineers, it's a whole convoluted conversation and process, but if you just put them where they need
yeah,
to
you
be.
move them 4 or 5 feet, it actually changes their calcs for the pole too.
You have anything else?
That's all I have for today.
Anybody else have anything? Sure.
I got a couple things, when I was over at the highway garage here back, before town meeting, the former road agent was telling me about in the front of the highway garage.
Yep.
And the front window up in there, and he says.
It leaks.
Trying to get a good heavy rain.
Yeah, it leaks.
Leaks pretty bad.
Yep.
I just want to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that, and I know, I don't know if I've talked to Chet about it, but. Yeah. Yeah,
Good.
thank you.
You know, last night we had our old home day committee meeting, down at the Williams Field. Building, you can have a toilet replaced.
Okay,
Just one, because the other one is new. And There's something going on with the water line for the sink that's in here too.
Okay,
It's in the rec building.
That's in the log cabin.
Yep.
One, yep.
can you, which
That's the
bathroom?
first one, first one.
Okay. All right. Is it, what's wrong with the toilet? Is it?
It takes a long time for it to fill up and it's not flushing correctly, the way it's supposed to.
Okay,
And the water and for the sink is it's like low water pressure. And so I'm getting one if there's something inside the line or
okay.
blocking it off or the faucet itself.
Can you talk to John about
Yeah.
that?
I know we had
Take a
talked
look
about the
at
one he replaced, but I didn't talk to him about this one.
Okay,
So,
okay. Great, that was easy. Well, yes, sir, Bob.
Oh, they go that man again. We talked 2 meetings ago about the holes in the asphalt. Are you
Yep.
guys still opposed to that?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and then you said that there's a potential that you might give us extra money to pay the $745.
He said if you came to us with a proposal, I would probably very strongly consider it, so.
Okay, so we,
Yeah.
when I had talked to you before, you said you want to look at some budgets, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
if it
no,
was
I
time for
mean,
budget.
it's small money and it's, I mean, in my opinion, it's just better that, affecting the asphalt. I know it's. They call it a safety issue, but the blocks, if you
The blocks are more forgiving to fall on than a stake,
The stakes are dangerous.
than a
too.
steel pin.
You can't fall off a stake though,
Huh?
Well, no, you'll be stuck there.
Yeah.
falling off the block.
Yeah.
Don't drink so much, but.
Then why would I even go to the game?
Don't drink and drive, drink first. Yeah.
I drive my lawnmower, I think I'll be okay.
As long as it's registered.
Only if you're gonna race it.
That was the only one I had.
Okay.
Bring the soapbox.
Tom, I know you brought up, I had a question about cooling centers. I did talk to Ryan, I did talk to Bill, we can use this room. But the really hard part is having it manned, because we can't just have it opened up, so. But they're willing to do it, it's available, so if it becomes an issue tomorrow, we can certainly jump into it.
I mainly just sort of, I saw Enfield
Yeah,
announcement.
Yep.
It was, our, extreme heat. It is obviously, whatever the history has been in this town.
Yep.
In the state, in this region. It's gonna be different, and the extreme heat was one of the things that came up in our hazard planning, so it was really more. I don't know what's gonna happen in the next couple of days, we all obviously have some elderly folks who probably don't have air conditioning, and I just wanted us to be thinking ahead.
understood.
Yep, we spoke with Bill Bellion last night and they have opened up. Or in the past, and the most they've ever had. Was 2 people, but I look at it that's a solution for 2 people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cannon Village Pizza has also offered. their dining room for people.
Well, the town library also is,
And
when they're open.
And in my conversations with Monica, she said in the past, we've also said, going to the school, they do it at the gym and they do
Yeah.
things of
It's
that nature.
outside of school right now, so I don't know if we'd have to get that clearance again.
Yeah, I'm just,
It's not-
But
we
It's not-
deferred them.
the auditorium.
The auditorium
school
is-
is-
yeah.
So that's what Bill brought up last night for if we need a large scale place, but, so,
I had another one I like.
Yeah.
no, you've had your chance, Bob.
Well, I was gonna say also, at Canyon Village Pizza, you can go there, but you can't stand by the register.
That's correct.
But, we did talk also about potential of using the grass in the ball field or not, did you have any?
I did not follow up with, and because she's not really available, so I mean,
Is Stephanie Daigle the person?
no, it was Rochelle, right?
I think it's that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I think they said Rochelle doesn't do it anymore.
yeah,
I did go look
Yeah.
at the cabin store. And that area is clean enough, just needs to be mowed as far as to put cars.
I'll put them over in that parking lot.
Yeah. Parking lot and the field area behind it as long as it's.
We
mowed.
did try to remove all the debris that
Yeah.
was around the
Right.
building, so I think we have a safer place right
Yeah.
now.
So they were asking last night about the horse trailers. Specifically. As well.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if they don't go on the actual field, I mean, there's enough between the horseshoe pit and the baseball diamond, they should be able to park in there with the horse trailers, right?
Yeah, but there's a. Like
Or is
on
that what they do
parade
there?
day, apparently there's a horseshoe tournament too.
The other person to talk to is talk to Robin Dow with the hardware store about out back of the hardware,
Yeah,
because that has been used for parking in the past.
the problem is we have crafters, we have big rigs, we have floats, we have animal trailers, and they're all looking at Robin Dow's now. So that's part of the. That's part of the problem. Is everybody's, there's like the one spot that everybody's thinking they're going to be at.
But I did look at the old cash market.
Yeah, I was gonna go behind.
That's clean enough out there that they can run around, and Hugh already said that he would rough cut mow it, and then Barry could, run the mower or keep the deck up some, but
They can move right between the two, but you know, on the back bridge behind.
Yeah, we talked about all that stuff
Yeah.
last night, we were trying to figure out what is available.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to see they put a lot of money and time in the baseball field last year, and I hate to see it get torn up because we have to do it the same way we've always done it, so.
Well, the way we've always done it was on the baseball field.
No, I know.
Yeah.
So,
But that's what I'm wrestling with right
Yeah.
now is. It's only 4 holes in the basketball, we've always parked on the baseball field and then. So I'm just trying to.
Yep.
Figure out some options.
just remember you have to keep it open to between for your cow flop drop, so we can get in with the truck and trailer.
We talked about that too, where that's gonna be. And so. There's a lot of things going on and less space to put them.
You got it for the elementary school.
What's that?
You do that for the elementary school.
I don't care. All I have to do is be able to get in with the gooseneck trailer and pickup.
No. Okay,
Thank you.
yep. I guess if we have to do the baseball field, we just pick the one that's gonna cause least amount of potential damage, so.
You know,
Which would not be the horse trailers.
And we did have a couple of people make sure nobody drives on the infield, because
Yeah.
that's where I think that's where the money was spent.
Right.
The infield.
Maybe we can just,
Are they having the softball tournament again this year during Old Home Days or?
As
For
far as
on
I know,
Sunday?
yes, but probably not Saturday morning during.
No, it's normally all day Sunday.
Yeah,
And they got quite a bit going on there too, because the cornhole tournament's gonna be right on that field there also.
is that new?
That's good too. We had it going this way last year, right on the ball field itself.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if there could be a lot of that this year or not.
I think Cornwall wouldn't do any damage, right?
I don't think so. No.
See, Mascoma boosters are good.
All right,
As long as they're not using weed tournament.
all right. Thanks. A motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.